Okay, I'm back with another video. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with the therapist, with my special guest, Dr. Newman. I hope she answered some questions for you about what mental illness is and all, about therapy and, what therapy consists of. Lots of times, just different things about mental illness and going to therapy and why it's important and the different types of therapy. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Today I want to talk about something that's difficult for a lot of people to understand, and God help you if you're trying to get disability. Borderline is going to be one of those things that's often fought. It's battled out in court as not being a real illness, so that's the hardest thing to get disability for. But anyway, what am I rambling on about? It's borderline personality disorder. And you probably say, what in God's green earth is that? Are you borderline crazy? Not exactly. You're not a bad person. You just have bad behaviors. Like the textbook will say something like, it's a maladaptive pattern of unstable relationships characterized by destructive moods and destructive behaviors and things like that. And all that is just to say we don't play well with others. And you probably wonder again, how is that an illness? But like I've said in I don't know how many videos, it's an illness when it disrupts your everyday life and it stops you from functioning and affects your moods and your behaviors. And borderline is one of those things. We can be very destructive. I have BPD, and I don't wish it on anyone. We don't have that ability. Well, I guess everybody has ability, but we have a difficult time channeling anger and managing stress effectively and not boiling over. We are impulsive, and I'll talk about that in just a second because there are 9 symptoms that's on this list that's in the DSM. You heard me talk about the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Illnesses quite a bit, but in that manual it lists 9 different symptoms, and I have my phone here because y'all know I didn't memorize all of that. And out of that 9, you have to have 5 of those things going on to get an accurate diagnosis. But oftentimes, and as with a lot of these illnesses, there was something missing in those early years. That whole birth to age 5, we didn't get the nurturing that we should have. The attachment often never developed. Borderlines, we grow up in a chaotic environment. We're exposed to a lot of things when we were younger that we should not have been. And there's this constant contradiction, this constant paradox, because people with borderline, we want to get close to someone, but then we shut down. We want to develop friendships and things, or wish somebody understood us, but we won't let anybody in. We'll say that out of one breath, we want to get close to someone. We just wish someone would understand how we're feeling, but then we're damaging or sabotaging that relationship in the next moment. So we're really unstable with our emotions because we're short-tempered, we are distrustful, we're suspicious of other people, we're emotionally sensitive, we're angry, as I said, and we're socially crippled. That's a bad combination. It really is, because you're just boiling over with all of these different intense emotions and you don't know how to channel that. And when I say inappropriate ways of handling emotions, I don't mean inappropriate like sexually inappropriate, although we can be very promiscuous, but it just doesn't fit the situation. You know how you have those people, you might say hi, they go, what do you mean hi? Those folks take everything the wrong way. Assume someone is always trying to hurt them. Borderlines, we, grew up way too fast. I read a book called The Angry Heart by, what was his name? I believe it was Dr. Joseph Santoro and somebody Cohen. And he sums it up brilliantly. Dr. Santoro said that, borderlines have battle-hardened survivor skills, but the naivety of a toddler. And that's often the case. We grew up way too fast. I know I did. I grew up in a very traumatic household. I was exposed to a lot of things that I should not have. A lot of perversion, a lot of emotional abuse. Of course, we were spanked to death. And then it gave us this mixed understanding of what a family unit is supposed to be like. So I'm growing up and I'm thinking, okay, you hit someone and then you tell them you love them afterwards. You smile in that person's face, but deep down inside you're wishing something bad on them, or you take pleasure in making that person upset. That, became norm for me, and with the usual mentally ill women, daddy wasn't there, so there again are all those daddy abandonment issues, and I guess that in just a second. And there was just a lot of yelling, too many people in the house, abuse from people at school, bullying, some of everything. So I grew up a very sensitive and emotionally fragile child, and it turned out into me leaving home at 17, and then I became this young woman trying to parent myself, and it just did not work out so well. So this is what we have here. These are some of the symptoms. Well, I'll go ahead and read all of them. Real or imagined fear of abandonment. That's a big one. We're either terrified of being alone or we don't want someone to leave us. It could be as simple as someone saying they're going, I'll be right back. No, don't leave. Or begging a lover or some boo to stick with you. Unstable relationships, we've gone over that. Unclear self-image. I've had my bouts where I said, well, I'm not as pretty as she is. Impulsive and destructive behaviors. We're very impulsive. We tend to do and think later. We tend to speak and not think at all. Extreme emotional swings. And when I say that, I don't mean like, bipolar mood swings, but the intense emotions that we do feel, we kind of go from one to the other. It's not just that extreme of being depressed and then manic. No, we're irritated and then we're angry. And then there may be some depression in there. And then we're volatile. And then we're crying and sensitive the next minute. So, you have all of these intense emotions and it's boiling in you at the same time. And you can go from one to the other fairly quickly. Chronic feelings of emptiness. I've dealt with that. I was just so pissed and so frustrated. And not knowing why frustrated me more. Not being understood by others frustrated me more. And I wasn't realizing, this the thing with borderline, that I was the problem. That I was the one really making things difficult for myself and making it difficult for people to feel comfortable around me. Had no idea. I thought it was everybody else. That's why I wrote a book titled Hindsight is 2020. How an African American girl grows up mentally ill and is dead last to find out. I didn't know. Figured it was everybody else. And then explosive anger, and I've said that as well. Now, in terms of therapy for borderline, there's this little nifty one called Dialectical behavioral therapy. There's not a pill that's going to fix this. You have to spend months and months and years undoing a lifelong pattern of destructive behaviors. It's not in a bottle. And what DBT does, it's basically a class. You can see a DBT therapist solo, but oftentimes you're in a group setting and you're relearning positive behaviors, which you should have learned earlier on. And so because you're around other people, it gives you that opportunity to practice being in a social setting and responding to things that are age appropriate and respectful, for lack of a better word. It's not all clinical jargon. You learn how to control your temper. You really become aware of how your past plays into your present. You really get to the root of why you're so upset. You slowly, break down that guard, or at least that's the point, so that you're not distrustful of a lot of other people. You want to get beyond that feeling of being terrified of being alone, because what that does is it makes you clingy. And you attach yourself to people, and people that, by the way, it's not that you trust them, you just don't want them to leave you. So borderline is really tricky. Let me tell you, the symptoms again. Real or imagined fear of abandonment. I can't tell you how big that one was. I grew up in a very traumatic household. Unstable relationships, unclear or unstable self-image, impulsive, self-destructive behaviors, self-harm, and I've cut in the past, extreme emotional swings, chronic feelings of emptiness and explosive anger. That's a bad combination. And you know, my heart goes out to people who have all 9 symptoms and going on all at the same time. I say that, you know, I've had all 9 somewhere along the lines, but it's usually 2 or 3 that's going on with me. The fear of abandonment, the explosive anger, and the unstable pattern of relationships. I call it a parasitic case of foot-mouth disease. You know, you tend to burn a lot of bridges, and not because, again, you're a bad person. You just have bad behaviors, and you never learn what was appropriate and what wasn't. You just respond to things. You're just impulsive, and it is an illness, and it's a bad way to live. So I'm not going to ramble on with this video, but I wanted to just tell you some things about borderline personality disorder, what that is, and you know, how it comes about, and what kind of treatment there is for it. There is hope. You can get beyond this. I think over the last several years I've gotten a lot better, but it's just that impulsivity that's just that nagging thorn I can't seem to get beyond. I just do stuff, you know, doesn't matter what it is. I respond to things in ways that, you know, it's not even called for sometimes, because with us it's black or white. There's no gray area with borderline people. It's either it's all good or it's all bad, and I forever have it in the back of my mind that someone doesn't mean me any good, even if they haven't given me a reason to think that way, and I just act, and they kind of think about it and feel bad about it later. So if you have questions about borderline, you know, as I say with some of my other videos, find information online, be mindful of the sources where you're getting this information from, and cross-reference. You'll be surprised what you learn, and you'll be surprised how much you relate to other people, even if you think that you don't. You know, we're not all just disabled and a lost cause. There are people out there who could really say, hey, I identify with this person in such and such a way. Even if it's not to, you know, a total extreme, you'd be surprised how in some way everybody in this world is interconnected. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, find some things online. Check out the description box. I'll leave you some information about BPD. And but matter of fact, in this video, I want you to find out some information. Come back, tell me what you found. Just leave me some comments in the comment section. And you want to know anything else about my crazy life, I don't mind sharing. And I'll be back with another video. And we're just moving down the alphabet. I did A, did B. I don't think there's any more B illnesses that I'll cover. But I probably won't do depression, because in all of these videos I've mentioned so much about depression before, but I'm working on a chemical imbalance theory, so stay tuned for that, histrionic disorder, and a few others, okay? So hopefully that answers some of your questions about borderline, and let's get the discussion going. Let's get the discussion going, okay? Wellness wishes, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace.